the hometown Suva in the second semi-final of this Air Pacific Daily Post International 7 with two international players, Peter Narumu, number 10, and Tavita Vonilangi in their side. And they're up against their long-time rivals from across the other side of the island here on Viti Levu. That's Nandringa, who have been probably the most impressive of the four provincial sides, along with Nandi in the matches to date, and will start as the slight favourites. Janatani, number 6, and Asali, number 7. And immediately from the kickoff, a line-out will take place across the far side of the field. Suva in the blue and white strip, playing from left to right. This was the team that finished at the top of the pool that New Zealand played in. Went through pool section with 3 comfortable victories, including the win today over New Zealand. And untroubled also in an all-Fijian quarter-final. And the kick a little too deep, and so back we come. 15 metres outside the 22. The line out to take place on this, the near side. And there's the senior figure in this Suva side, Peter Naruma, member of the Fijian 15s side back in the 1980s. Naruma goes looking for the ball, but it's come back on the Nandringa side. And the referee says the ball was spilled forward, and so the scrum to take place. Suva to feed the scrum, 15 metres in from touch. No score on the match so far. The winner of this match to meet Fiji, the Fijian national side in the final. The long pass from Vonilangi, but it's intercepted, however. And an opportunity here in the far corner as this by Asala. But the referee's whistle is gone, and they just couldn't bring any finish to that play. An opportunity there, early opportunity for Nandringa with Asala, who's been very impressive. So the scrum to go down only 10 metres from the line. Coming back to Asala again. This big man takes a lot of putting down, just a few metres short of the corner flag, but the Suva side has been caught offside, so an opportunity here again for Nandringa. And look as if they're toying with the idea of kicking for goal. No. Suka. A long discussion going on here. A planned move on. Idafima, the big prop. Asala again, but he's wrapped up by 2 or 3 Suva players. The pass was knocked forward. So it's been a match of lost opportunities for both of these two teams so far in the first 4 minutes of the match. Halfway through the first spell, no score on this match. In contrast to the raft of tries that flowed in the first 5 minutes of the first match in the semi-finals. So the scrum just outside the 22. Nandringa on attack. Asala. And a very fine tackle made on him. Asala is the danger man in this Nandringa backline. He's so big and so fast, he's able to break clear of tackles, and then with quick explosion of speed, he has been able to set up many tries in the last 2 days for his Nandringa side, but he's been marked very closely in this match so far. And away comes Suva. Vonilangi. Suva just not looking quite as fluent at the moment as Nandringa, but as I say that, the bounce of the ball falls nicely for Suva and very much against the run of play. In goes Suva for the first try of the match. Well, these matches can be decided literally on the bounce of a ball, and there was a classic example of that. The little chip kick ahead, it could have gone anywhere, but it set up beautifully for Suva, and he was gone. There he is, just chipping off his left foot, got a foot trip on the way, but poetic justice seemed to be done there as the ball bounced kindly for him, and the pass from Dera to Sarah, and he was away. 50-metre run to the try line. Only the referee was interested in going with him. And first blood goes to Suva. They lead by 5-0. So the hometown ahead by 7 points to 0. They'll certainly have the crowd behind them here, Nandronga. Arch rivals of the Suva team and provincial rugby here. And from the restart, taken by Suka. Suva, who haven't seen much of the ball, but have got a 7-point lead as away goes Vanilangi. Steps away from her would-be head-high tackle. The kick again. Now, what does the referee say? Appeared to be a clear case of a foot trip there. He's playing advantage. And up we come for the penalty. And Suva tempted, I think, here probably to kick for goal from this very handy position. Ahead by 7 points. Half-time can't be far away, just a minute or so. And a penalty here could give them a very useful 10-point cushion at half-time, and we haven't seen many teams, in fact I can't think of a team that's come from 10 points behind at half-time to win a match. And it looks like the fellow that received the foot trip is going to leave the field for the moment as he limps away to the touchline. Meanwhile, Tavita Vanilangi virtually out in front, just to make it 10-0. Well, he's missed it, and that's the disadvantage, of course. In sevens, you've frittered away possession. When you don't succeed with your kicks at goal, you get nothing for that advantage. There's the sound of half-time. Desperate attempt being made here by Nandronga to keep the ball alive, and Suva, of course, happy to kill it. They've done so. And the referee says that is the break for half-time. So only the one try, the second semi-final in the first half, scored by Suva. They lead by 7 at the break.
One world of sport.
From Sunday, April 4th, Air Pacific takes off from Nadi with a direct, non-stop service to Christchurch. Now enjoy heavenly service every Sunday to Christchurch with Air Pacific.
One world of sport.
Second half about to get underway with Suva very much in the box seat with that 7-point advantage, and they immediately claim possession from the kickoff. Suva, the try scorer, looking for number 2, and here it comes. Oh yes, fine individual try right from the kickoff. Perfect way to start a sevens match. You kick off, you win the ball, you score the try. And that could be a very telling blow coming in the first minute of the second half. Beautifully placed kick. Look at all the height there was on that ball. It gave the Suva players the opportunity to get underneath it. Peter Naruma drew the defence, and even then it looked as if Suva was going to be closed out by the Nandronga defence as he went round the outside of the first defender and sprinted away for the try. That was a very good try. He looked boxed in when he got the pass, but his individual skill earned him the try and his side a 12-point advantage. Valangi makes it 14 points to 0, and Suva shouldn't lose from this position. Ndronga seem to have had the wind taken out of their sails by that early setback in the second spell as they trudge back rather wearily to halfway for the scrum, for the unforced error from the kickoff, and the Suva sensing a place in the final here. A rather ambitious pass which didn't ever look as if it was going to come off, and the ball was spilled forward. No advantage there for Ndronga, trailing now by 14 points to 0. Well, there's still time left for them to score 2 tries if they're good enough. So I see feeds the scrum a couple of metres on his own side of halfway. Cirillo going on the short side, going with him is Suka. Eparama flings the ball rather aimlessly out to the midfield. Esala, he won't get away from the cover defence, and Suva making sure of their tackles here. That's all they have to do, and a place in the final is theirs. All the pressure here is on Ndronga. They are the ones that are going to have to take the risks and throw the ball around, trailing by 14 points. Striking before the ball was in results in a free kick to Suva from about 30 metres out from their opponent's line. Might be tempted to have the indirect kick at goal here, the drop kick. Numa. Cirillo again. That's a very intelligent pass out to the big man Asala. At last he's got some room here, Asala, as he's challenged by Maraiwai. As nothing going right for Ndronga at the moment. Suva on the counter attack. Time starting to run out for Ndronga. Jonatani back there, but there was nothing much he could do with that kick. Good tactics here from Suva. They're just closing the game down, using the kicking game here, not taking any undue risks. They know that 2-try advantage is not insurmountable for an opposing side with 3 or 4 minutes of the match remaining. Samisi picking up the ball. Across to Komota, just outside the 22, playing it tight again and close. And away, no. Sevak just couldn't quite shrug himself clear. That would certainly have been the winning of the match if he could have shaken himself clear. Another try here by Suva, and it will certainly seal the fate of Ndronga. 14 points to 0. Suva in the blue lead Ndronga. Competing for the ball well at the base of the scrum. That was good work there by Samasoni. Back to Seva. But the interception by Cirillo. Asala. And away on the far side, Jonatani. Has he got the speed? Yes, he has. He's too good for Komotai. And Ndronga back in the game. Well, it's 14 points to 5. Just a couple of minutes of the match remaining. And a strong run again by Asala, finishing off with that good pass that gave this man, Jonatani, just enough room to get round the outside of Waisia Komaitai, who chased him hard and valiantly, looked as if he might have just got a hand to him. But with his head back and his knees up, he found enough speed to get away from the cover defence. In for the try, their first of the match, breathing some life back into the Ndronga hopes. Well, that was a kick they needed. That's made it very difficult now 14-5, they still have to score twice to get back into this match and get their noses in front. 14 points to 5. The winner of this match to meet the Fijian national side in the final of this Air Pacific Daily Post International Sevens, concluding 2 days of a highly successful inaugural tournament, and every indication that this event here in years to come could well rival the Hong Kong Sevens as one of the major international rugby events of the year. Full-time whistle is gone, so it's academic what happens now. There's no way that Nandronga could possibly score twice in the time left, and Nandronga beaten by 14 points to 5. The late try wasn't enough. Those 2 first-half tries ensuring Suva are through to the final, where they'll meet the national side.
From Sunday, April 4th, Air Pacific takes off from Nadi with a direct, non-stop service to Christchurch. Now enjoy heavenly service every Sunday to Christchurch with Air Pacific.
Hey gang, have you tried a Jolly Green Ninja?
They're excellent.
Made just for you by Tip Top. A cool strawberry delight with a big burst of toffee inside.
Far out.
From Tip Top, Fiji's #1.
It's only natural for people to look at the new Nissan Sunny. No other car of its class looks so self-assured and handles with such a sure touch. Nissan Sunny.
So a very special moment for the Solomon Islands, a country more renowned for its footballers than its rugby players. But here they are through to the Tanoa final. And up against the Canadian side, who on paper certainly looked the stronger of the two teams, with the Fijian Kumbakordo there, along with Pat Palmer, Gordon McKinnon and Ian Gordon, all key members of the Canadian time in recent years. Mr. Thalati, the referee. And immediately from the kickoff, the boot of Douglas Hatageva sinks it too far, and it goes into touch on the full, so the Canadians will have the scrum. And the Solomon Islands, made up of players all from the one team, from the one island, in fact. A club team that is representing their country here at this International Sevens, and they'd be very pleased and proud of the fact that they've got through to the Tanoa final, but they're going to find that pretty tough against this Canadian side. As big Al Sharon claims first blood for the Canadians with a very good try. Too big and too strong for the Solomon Island defenders. They kept it close, and once it got to El Sharon, he makes it a very impressive sight, this big fellow, keeping one arm free in case any defender got near him. They didn't. Desperate dive there by Elisha in the end, but Sharon was comfortably through for the try. It's 5-0. Conversion attempt. This to make it 7-0. Unsuccessful the kick of John Grafs, and the score remains at 5-0 to Canada. And the Canadians, as they do with all their rugby, use the little plastic tee for their goal kicks. And John Graf just returning to the sideline and returning the plastic tee to his bench as play restarts. Here's Sharon again. Across to Gordon McKinnon. Tynan sells the dummy, and he might go all the way, but instead Pat Palmer, a winger in the Canadian side at the World Cup, and you saw the sort of speed he had there. He was able to finish it off without any problems. Canada quickly assuming the momentum in this plate final, the Tanoa final. And little John Graf with the little dummy, which was enough to put him in the clear, but he didn't quite have the speed to go all the way. Dewey Wale coming from the left wing. That forced Graf to unload to Pat Palmer, and there was no way Wale could catch him. It's 12-0. Well, not everyone is necessarily riveted on the rugby. It's been a long day for some of the youngsters here. Been here since 9 o'clock in the morning. It's now approaching 5 in the afternoon. And Canada again completely in control of this match. Looks sort of will just be a matter of how many points they can muster between now and when the final whistle is blown. But the Solomons will have learned a lot in the development of their rugby over the last 2 days playing in this international tournament here, and they can be justifiably proud of their efforts. Peter Saatai, but it goes straight back into touch. McKinnon. It's a Stephen Gray. Kumbakoro. But the Fijian Canadian losing the ball forward in his endeavours to take that pass. Playing with a couple of his fingers strapped. That may well have been part of his problem there as he grabbed at the ball.
Ball in.
Elisha takes his eyes off the ball and loses it forward. This is Torbett, Steve Torbett. Across to Graham Thompson. Jim Williams, the long pass out there to Barry Lee. And stepping out of a very weak tackle, away goes Chris Newman. He's only got Philip Rayasi to beat. That's a fine tackle by Rayasi. Australia should really have scored from there. Who knows, they may still do. No one out there, or is there? Rayasi again. But he can't catch Barry Lee this time. Well, it was a weak New Zealand tackling that really allowed that try to surface for Australia. They did well, particularly Rayasi, to stop the first Australian wave, but there were too many New Zealanders grouped too close together, and the Australians moved the ball wide, and Lee, with the little body swerve, manages to get through the tackle of Rayasi and in for the try. Conversion attempt from Mark Constable is a good one. Catchball, should I say, is a good one, and it's 7 points to 0. Australia not lacking for crowd support here. They seem to have been adopted as the favourites by the crowd. So New Zealand. It's Todd Wolfe that restarts. Good kick from Wolfe. And New Zealand have claimed it. Clark. Here comes Rayasi at full speed. Rayasi. And Peter Woods. Away he goes again. We've seen this a number of times from Woods this weekend. Very elusive and so fast. Those little legs of his pumping like pistons. And they carry him clear so quickly. It's 7-5. So very quick reply by New Zealand. Just look at the very explosive speed here of Peter Woods. Not much of him, but those legs pumping furiously, and he was too quick. Gets to the line, under the post. It's New Zealand on the board. 7-5. And Todd Wolfe puts New Zealand on par with Australia, 7-all. And there may only be a plate final in a sevens tournament, but you can bet that there will be a fierce rivalry and competition between the 14 players down there, both playing for their countries, their respective countries, and both would take a great deal of satisfaction in having a victory over their trans-Tasman rivals. There, Ronnie Clark. Wolfe. Wolfe. Rayasi, now has he got the speed? Lee is giving chase, but Philip Rayasi, the Wellington winger, too good for the Australians. And playing a little cat and mouse with them. That's a dangerous thing to do in a very narrow in-goal area. 2 tries as quickly as that for New Zealand, and from 7 points behind, they're 2 points and 5 points in front. The break made initially there by Todd Wolfe, and zooming up at great speed was Philip Rayasi. And once Rayasi had hit full speed, no one was really going to catch him. Lee made an attempt, but Rayasi, now just watch what he does when he gets to the goal line. Decides not to actually make the touchdown until the Australians, 3 or 4 of them, gather him. Then he gets up, and now he decides it's time for the try. Rubbing the salt into the wound, I guess. Rayasi enjoying, relishing that runaway try against the Australians in front of 30,000 fans, 30,000 of his countrymen, I guess. Rayasi, Fijian born. And there's Gordon Titchens and Graham Taylor, the New Zealand management team here at the PG Sevens this weekend. Gordon Titchens, the coach, and Graham Taylor, the manager. Rayasi, Ronnie Clark, and the Canadian and the Australians have been penalised. The Australian down there shaking his head in disbelief. That was Mark Catchpole. He was the one that was penalised for not releasing the ball, and Wolfe again trying to effect that little break, which led to Rayasi's try the last time, not retiring quick enough. So away come New Zealand again. The momentum going for the New Zealanders at the moment. They will want to hang on to possession here. It spills forward awkwardly, but well recovered there by Ronnie Clark. And again, the Australians offside, infringing frequently here, and giving New Zealand time to regroup and mount another attack on the Australians.
That's not a kick.
That wasn't a kick, says the referee. It came off his knee. You'll notice if we have a look at that again, you'll see how he kneed the ball, and the referee has judged that that's not a kick.
You're binding.
It's interesting movement. You see that? Well, I guess he's right. It wasn't a kick. And so the Australians get the scrum, but New Zealand, I think there'll be a penalty here, yes. Jersey pulling there by one of the Australians, holding one of the New Zealanders back. And another opportunity here for New Zealand to add to their lead. They lead by 14-7. Another try here would make things comfortable for New Zealand. They have the numbers. Blackadder now, but has he got the pace? Steve Talbot comes at him, but Adder's in. Blackadder is in. Add another try. 19-7. Good comeback here by New Zealand after conceding that first try. So often in these games, the team that scores first wins. But New Zealand look as if they might confound that theory here. Martin Jones delaying his pass and saying to Blackadder, well, if you're big and fast and strong enough, you can score from here. And he does. Watch out. Getting plenty of media attention down there with microphones and photographers and cameras. Doesn't look as if it's distracted the concentration of Todd Wolfe. Lovely kick from the sideline, and Australia must have wondered what has hit them here. Trailing by 21 points to 7 after scoring first. So this really has been a very entertaining match, and New Zealand making no race of it at the moment. It was a very crucial try there. Hit by 14 to 7. If Australia had come back and scored again before half-time, the match would have been back on equal footing. But as it is now, New Zealand have this, what should be, winning 14-point margin.
Come down, black ball.
Still the errors coming from the Australians, so New Zealand get the scrum on halfway. Ronnie Clark decides to go straight up the middle, runs into 2 or 3 Australians. Martin Jones can't make much headway either. Wolf losing the ball, the referee playing advantage here for Australia. That is half-time, and that will be enough for the first spell. 10 minutes of the plate final see New Zealand ahead by 21 to 7 at the break.
Change over.
One world of sport.
From Sunday, April 4th, Air Pacific takes off from Nadi with a direct, non-stop service to Christchurch. Now enjoy heavenly service every Sunday to Christchurch with Air Pacific.
One world of sport.
Bob Dwyer reading the riot act to his team at half-time. There's Jeff Alley, the New Zealand captain, who has been rested for this match, sitting on the bench. Second half of this plate final, the curtain raiser to the Air Pacific Daily Post Sevens final between Fiji and Suva. And it's a really entertaining match it is too. I'm sure the crowd thoroughly enjoying this, massive crowd enjoying the sight of Australia and New Zealand locked in battle at sevens. And a major consolation prize, of course, to take away the plate final would relieve some of the disappointment for the New Zealand team of missing out on a place in the playoffs if they at least were to come away with the plate final. And they'll be very pleased with their performance in the first half after conceding that early try and bouncing back with 3 themselves, 21 to 7. There's Mark Catchpole.
Come back this way, folks.
Trying to find a gap in the New Zealand defence, but there isn't many gaps in that New Zealand defence this afternoon. After they conceded that early try, they've tightened up their defence, and the Australians really haven't looked like scoring again since then. And that very strong tackle there by Blackadder causing Catchpole to spill the ball forward. And now New Zealand with the chance. Wolf, Ronnie Clark, Woods, he's got Barley outside of him. Back on the angle comes Barley. Big and strong is Barley. Round the neck, says the referee. New Zealand get the penalty. Blackadder. Martin Jones lost forward by New Zealand. The referee plays advantage here to Australia. Lee. 3 men outside of him. Oh, shocking pass. Torbett upended by Rayasi. Now the race is on. The Ronnie Clark. This will be an interesting battle. Clark gets there. Well, that was really rather fortuitous there for Ronnie Clark, because the ball bounced and the momentum of it stopped. It looked as if it might have gone too deep out over the dead ball line, as it has done many times from these speculated kicks. But it all began with this very solid tackle here by Philip Rayasi, and that caused Corbett to fling the ball in a rather ill-directed manner, and speculative from Ronnie Clark, and see how the ball bounced up rather than over the top, and it gave him time to get there and score the try. So New Zealand now, I'm sure, have got this plate final wrapped up at 26-7. Wolf out to the left. It remains at 26-7. Try of Ronnie Clark's was unconverted. 26 points to 7, New Zealand lead with 4 tries to 1 so far. Rayasi flings the ball back to Ronnie Clark. Woods has a little dab. Jones. Wolf in trouble. Now Barley, but I think he may have knocked the ball forward, Todd Wolf. And an opportunity here now for the Australians. I can't imagine they could really realistically get back into the match from here. Trailing by 19 points. And out of that melee from behind the scrum, which looked as if it was going to be a tight hit to New Zealand, Mark Catchpole saw the ball there, claimed it, and just scampered away for the try. So the Australians adding a little bit of respectability to the scoreline here. You'll see it started to come back on the New Zealand side from the Australian put-in, but it seemed to get lost behind the hands there of the New Zealand halfback, and that presented Catchpole with a clear run to the line, and it's 26 points to 12. And a little fun going on there amongst the big crowd who have been thoroughly enjoying themselves today. That's an important element of this whole tournament, has been the fun. It's really been a wonderful weekend for Fijian rugby. A record crowd of close to 30,000 people. You can see how they've allowed in the last hour or so a few more thousand people to sit on the surrounds of the playing field. I'm sure if this stadium was twice the size, they would have had no difficulty filling it as well. However, it's back with Catchpole. It remains at 26 points to 12.
Okay, yellow. It's okay. It's okay. Okay, yellow. Drop out, left.
There's the second try was formed by Mark and Paul.
So that was a good kick there for New Zealand, going into touch off an Australian hand, so they get the put-in with Blackadder and Martin Jones forming the New Zealand lineout, and Philip Rayasi finds Blackadder. Wolf, long pass to Ronnie Clark, doubles round as Wolf, misses out Woods. Now Barley. Oh, this is impressive stuff from Paula Barley. He's lovely to watch, this man, when he has a little bit of room. So smooth, so balanced. And the deception of pace there, this change of pace, completely wrong-footing his opponent. And just watch the way Barley, once he received the ball and quickly made up his mind the best way to get round his opponent, and just the little change of pace did the Australian like a dinner. And Lee left in his wake. Paula Barley, such a classy player, does everything with style. And New Zealand add to their score. It's 31 to 12. High scoring plate final here, 43 points so far. and the bulk of them, of course, coming from New Zealand. Todd Wolfe hasn't had many easy kicks today, Wolfe. And the Canadians, who won the Tanoa final just a few moments ago, enjoying the sight of Australia and New Zealand in the plate final. Win, lose or draw, everyone seems to be a winner here at the Fiji Sevens. It's been a thoroughly enjoyable weekend, and I'm sure you'd find that the 10 teams from overseas that have been here this weekend will be very keen to come back again in 12 months' time.
Sorry, black, not forward by yellow. Scrum down, black ball.
The Australians with the knock on, and so New Zealand get the advantage of the loose head in the closing minutes of this match. 31 points to 12. Good smothering tackle there by Mark Catchpole, depriving the New Zealand backs of the ball, and we'll have the scrum again.
Mark. No pushing, no pushing. Wait for the ball. Steady it up.
Catchpole's in trouble. Thank you, says Ronnie Clark. But good work there by Jim Williams. New man on for the Australians, Graham Thompson. As Ryan Constable shrugs off one tackle. Oh, nicely gathered in there by Lee. But he wasn't too keen on taking on Paula Barley. Got rid of the ball fairly smartly. But once he saw Barley closing in on him and didn't even really look where he was putting that ball, and kicked it into touch on the full.
Outside.
Using the outside arm, the Australians get the free kick, and New Zealand slow to retire. Blackadder. So here's Chris Newman slipping and sliding, almost slipping through the New Zealand defence, however. Trying to free the ball out here to Lee, who's unmarked on the right wing. Barley goes in for New Zealand, but the ball had been thrown forward by an Australian, and New Zealand to receive the scrum on the 22. The match just winding down here with New Zealand safely ahead by 31 to 12. It'll give them 3 wins and 2 losses for their 5 matches over the weekend. And I think the New Zealanders, along with most of the major nations that have sent reserve or second string teams here, have been really surprised at just how strong the Fijian provincial sides have been. Everyone knew, of course, the Fijian national side would be the favourites for this event, but really there doesn't seem to have been much between a half a dozen Fijian sides here, and so the pool matches at this tournament, in the words of the New Zealanders and the Australians, have been a lot more difficult than they are even at the Hong Kong tournament. And there is the hooter for full time as New Zealand comfortably account for Australia in the plate final by 31 points to 12. So the tournament is over for the Australians and the New Zealanders, and some worthy consolation there for the New Zealand team, this young and experienced side, going away with the plate final as their coach, Gordon Titchens. Been a tough weekend for him. Of course, he didn't have Terry Wright or Brendan Laney, who were pulled out of the side with injury before the tournament started. And the Australians and the New Zealanders, this is a nice gesture as they're doing a lap of honour. They appreciate the wonderful support they've had from this massive crowd over the weekend. Number of Fijians in the New Zealand side, of course, Paula Barley and Philip Rayasi. And a strong Polynesian influence throughout the New Zealand team as well, with Des Tuivai from Samoa, Ronnie Clark. And they've really appreciated the support they've had from the crowd over the weekend. And in turn, the crowd giving the New Zealanders and the Australians a standing O as they leave the National Stadium.
From Sunday, April 4th, Air Pacific takes off from Nandi with a direct, non-stop service to Christchurch. Now enjoy heavenly service every Sunday to Christchurch with Air Pacific.
Graham Eden and Associates are suppliers of both building materials and interior design requirements. From the floors of the travel lodge, ceilings in hospitals to fabrics in the home. You'll find an extensive range to choose from with friendly, helpful staff ready to assist you in all your needs, right down to having your concept created or product installed. As a special, we're offering free quotes and drastic reductions on our stock range of quality curtain fabrics. To qualify, just phone Angie, Anitra or Gareth and mention this ad.
People are talking about our service.
People are
talking about our people.
People are
talking about us.
Touch by Supermarkets, Nambua and Naulu.
And we're talking savings for you. People are talking about us. And we're talking savings for you.
Touch Buys, the power of positive savings.
Only Burnsville Home Centers and office equipment offer low prices, no deposit and low deposit terms with 3 months interest-free benefits. From March until December 31st, there's over $200,000 worth of prizes to be won, plus super cash prizes in our birthday sale. Just spend $20 at any Burnsville Home Center or office equipment to be in with a chance to win. There's weekly draws with weekly prizes, and our major prize in December is this fabulous Toyota to sell. During our Mad March sale, win a trip for 2 flying air marshals to Kiribati, Tuvalu, or the Marshall Islands, only at Burnsville Home Centers and office equipment.
This is the Fijian side, the national side that'll defend their Hong Kong title in a week's time, anchored around the skills of Waisali Serevi and Philemoni Seru, along with Rathika and Waki, who've been the 2 other players that have had a very good weekend of sevens rugby here. Now the Suva side, which again will rely heavily on the experience and skill of their 2 former internationals, number 10 there, Peter Naruma, and number 16 in the back line, Tavita Vonalangi. Very fast and very elusive. And the key man, of course, on this Fijian side is Waisali Serevi. Word has it that after the Hong Kong Sevens next week, he's off to play rugby in Japan for 2 years. And there really are very few rugby players in the world more gifted than this lad. And here this weekend on his home soil in front of these capacity crowds, he really has revelled. The inaugural Air Pacific Daily Post International Sevens final gets underway. It's an all Fijian affair. Fiji, the national side, from right to left in the first half, up against the local team, Suva, the side that accounted for both Canada and New Zealand in pool play. It was a very tough pool they drew, Canada, New Zealand, and one of the other Fijian provincial sides, Rewa. Yet Suva strolled through the pool matches unbeaten with 3 convincing wins through the quarters and the semis and into the final, up against the Fijian national side, who on paper anyway, of course, should have the measure of their opponents. It's very dark here in the afternoon. The television camera rather deceptive. It's getting on to 6 o'clock in the evening on this cloudy but humid afternoon here in Fiji. But of course, the heat won't be a problem to these 14 players out here. And immediately an opportunity arises here for the Fijian side as the ball is kicked ahead by Philemoni Seru, but it goes into touch 10 metres from the corner flag.
Gap.
Nearly 30,000 people here, and the only occasion that the locals can recall a bigger crowd for a rugby match was when Andy Leslie's All Blacks played here back in 1974 in a memorable match, which Fiji nearly won. Some would probably argue to this day that they should have won. And a head count of around about 29,000 apparently that day. Well, the stadium has changed quite a lot since then. It used to be called Buckhurst Park back in 1974. Since then, there's been an all-weather athletic track, and this new big stadium has been built, rather reminiscent to the one at QE2 Park in Christchurch, and so the capacity of the ground has changed a little, but it's close to 30,000 here today. as Vonalangi with a touch finder from inside his own 22. You can see the people are rimmed all around the playing field. They've allowed a few extra 1,000 people in the last hour or two, because even at 9:30 this morning the ground was at capacity. So the 30,000 folk have been here since 9:30 this morning, 9 hours ago.
Why not 5 meters? What do you
And
want?
the throw didn't go 5 meters, and so the scrum midway 22 and halfway. 10 minutes each way in this final. That's Peter Naruma on the loose head side of the scrum there for Suva. He's the experienced member of the Suva side. He played at fullback, first 5'8" for Fiji back in the 1980s. And here's an opportunity for Suva. They had men out there wide. The intention of the pass was fine, but the execution left a little to be desired. And now Serevi, dangerous tackle on Serevi. The referee allows play to continue. Seru sees a little half gap. And this time the penalty will be awarded. The referee was playing advantage there for that high tackle on Serevi. Out as far as Waisia. And away comes Maraiwai. But it's been a rather scrappy start to this match. We've seen some wonderful rugby here, but each side has been marking the other very closely in his first couple of minutes. Now Serevi tries to get something going, and he nearly eluded the defence, but the ball has gone loose, scooped up by Simoni. Now the race is on. Simoni, but 3 Fijians back there ahead of Simoni as they scamper away from inside their 22. Epirama decides to fling the ball wide out to his teammate Joni Regitha. Regitha just slowing the game down. 2 men outside of him, goes for the outside break. In the finish, he's squeezed between both of them. So again, this hard tackling marking this final. Not releasing the ball, and the penalty to Suva. Not tempted to kick for goal. Just outside the 22, as who's this Vonalangi, is it? He's the danger man on the Suva side. Crunch 15 metres from his own line. And what's the referee say?
We'll come back for the knock on. No. 34 pass.
Vonalangi losing the ball forward in that heavy tackle. And the scrum to take place just 10 metres from the Fijian line. Now the Fijian side have just sailed through this tournament. They really seldom had to get beyond first gear in any of their matches so far, and still been able to win them by 30 points. But they finding it a little harder to come by points in this match, and a very close call there as some rather slack defensive work and some sloppy passes nearly gave away a try. So 5 minutes of the match gone. We're halfway through the first spell. No score on the match so far. And the fact that the Suva side, first of all, was able to make the final and compete with this Fijian team in a way that none of the foreign sides have is just another indication of the tremendous depth of sevens players here in Fiji. This is Marawai slipping out of a tackle, but away come the Fijians. This is Jono that kicks ahead, Savo giving chase, and back there for Suva, and guiding the ball in the touch was Jeremiah. But very few opportunities so far for this Fijian national side. Yosateri Savo was who kicked and chased. 6 minutes into the first half. And here it is, surely must be the first try of the match. Lovely move at the front of the line-out. Lovely hands, and it was Savo that finished it off. It's 5 points to 0, but it's taken the Fijians the best part of 7 minutes to post the first points in this final. From the line-out, the tap, no one there to mark Savo. And the 2 men that arrived got there late. He was in for the try, 5-0. So Waisali Serevi with this almost a comic way he kicks his goals. Just a couple of steps, and you'll notice that as he runs into the ball, he virtually stops and then chips the ball. Describe it any way you like. It's usually fairly effective. 7 points to 0. Waisali Serevi adding the extra 2. And the Fijian national side under a lot of pressure here, of course. It would be acutely embarrassing if they were to be beaten by a local side. In this, the prestige and first ever international sevens here on Fijian soil. So high expectations from this rugby mad country. And believe you me, you could travel the entire world and you'd never come across a town or a country that has a passion for sevens rugby like the Fijians do. And Waisali again kicking long and deep. Kick that, of course, Grant Fox would be proud of it from a very acute angle, just rolls it into touch. So it's been a rather subdued effort by the sevens, the Fiji sevens side in this final. It's been a very useful workout for them, of course, with the Hong Kong Sevens tournament about to get underway. And Jeremiah to feed the line out just a few metres inside the 22. The tap down to Waki. Waki, the long pass across to Waisia, out to Seru. Seru into Waisia, and the final pass goes astray. Just over a minute of the first half remaining, and just the one try so far. And we've got a stoppage for injury across on the far side. One of the Suva players has come down. The manager of the Fijian team looking a little anxious there as he walks around with his side only 5 points ahead, 7 points ahead. It's the Fijian bench, the Scottish and Canadian players. There's Big Al Sharon and the Canadian jersey. New Zealanders are down there as well somewhere. Looks like it might be Vonalangi, who's the key player in the Suva backline that suffered the injury, but he's a little groggy, but he's taking his place there on the goal line. And Suva under pressure again in the final minute of the first half. Probably happy just to keep the Fijians at bay and restrict the score to 7-0 at half-time. That wouldn't be a bad effort by the Suva side. No one has got as close as that to them in any of their previous matches in this tournament. And the Fijian side getting a lot more ball as the further this match goes. Seru manages to free it to Serevi. He has to score in the final, surely. Yes, he does. He looks such a frail little figure, doesn't he? But he's just absolutely electrifying every time he gets the ball. Featured twice in this movement, just floating that beautiful pass out there to his teammate Seru, who did extremely well to stand up in the tackle and feed it on to Serevi. And the little goose step, which has become increasingly popular since it was introduced by David Campisi. And Serevi has used it to good effect over the last couple of days. And the Fijian side out to a 12-0 lead. Serevi now with 7 of those points. Began the tournament yesterday with 20 points in the opening match. And that's not a bad-looking kick either. Just didn't quite have the legs. And that is half-time, is it? 12 points to 0. The Fijian national side and the Hong Kong champions lead Suva with 10 minutes of the Air Pacific Daily Post International Sevens to go.
One world of sport.
From Sunday, April 4th, Air Pacific takes off from Nandi with a direct, non-stop service to Christchurch. Now enjoy heavenly service every Sunday to Christchurch with Air Pacific.
One world of sport.
Second half of this Air Pacific Daily Post final about to get underway with the Fijian national side ahead by 12 points to 0 at the break. 2 first half tries. As Serevi quickly into the fray again, trying to free the ball as he turns over on his back, but it's one back on the Suva side, but doesn't look as if it will be for long, as it's again in the hands of Seru. And Seru manages to chip the ball into touch, rolling it into touch just inside the Suva half. Eparama at the front of the line-out for Fiji. Here's the veteran in the Suva side, and Peter Nakuma. Tapped away by Waki, and away goes Savo again, kicking back, chipping back on the angle. Racing back there is Vanalangi. And Simoni there as well as they move the ball wide inside their own 22. The kick and chase. Serevi, however, is back there. Now Serevi has had to start from a flat point, whereas the Suva fellow was racing through with the speed of knots. Serevi was at a standstill, and he quickly got into top gear. But Marawai not clever enough for the sweet skills of Wasali Serevi. A close call there for the national side, a hit by 12 points to 0. They would not want to concede a try here. And it's very dark here at the National Stadium as the huge big lighting towers suddenly light up the ground. Waisia inside his own 22, no way through there. The kick and chase again. Marawai racing back to his 22. Seru is there as well, and into touch it goes. So the final has been something of an anticlimax. It's been a very close and tight final, without the free-flowing rugby we've seen in some of the earlier matches.
Comes forward. No more white.
Being knocked forward by number 27 for Suva. So the scrum a few metres outside the Suva 22 as Joe Sabo prepares to feed the scrum, the halfback for the Fijian side. As Serevi goes the short side, but this time the kick's a little too deep. But it rolled into touch in the field of play just a metre from the corner flag. The calm, placid waters of Lathala Bay providing this wonderful backdrop here to the National Stadium. Perfect weather has prevailed here for the 2 days of this competition. Under all sorts of pressure on their own line as Samioni knocks the ball on in goal, and so the scrum to go down a couple of metres, 5 metres from the line, and a chance here for Fijian side to add to their 12-point lead. They've really had to work hard for the advantage they've gained in this match. This has easily been their toughest match so far. And again unable to clear the ball cleanly from the scrum. And again coming through very effectively and spoiling it for Fiji was Samioni. But they do concede the penalty, so the free kick. Good launching pad here for the Fiji national side as Eparama tries to bustle his way through using his bulk. And two of the Fijians there, Serevi there as well, but the ball looked as if it was spilled forward. But no, the Fijians have been penalised there for not releasing the ball. It was Epirama that was penalised. And when all else fails, booted. Thinks Vonilangi as he boots the ball 50 metres down the field, and Serevi happy to see the ball roll into touch. Penasoni Waki to feed this line out, midway 22 and halfway. Halfway through the second spell, 4 minutes and 50 seconds left in this final, and again it wasn't straight. A lot of unforced errors here. Been a very tiring 2 days for these two teams, and I think it's starting to show here. There just isn't the same sharpness or penetration or incisiveness about the play of these two sides that we've seen earlier in the weekend. And the Fijian side looking as if they'll be quite happy just to hang on to this 12-point lead. YC, the kicking game becoming increasingly prominent in this match.
Early tackle.
Early tackle, says the referee. Jeremiah. Jeremiah again. This is the big man, Vonilangi, and away goes Inoki Marawai as well, but Seru is back there. Epirama eventually gets a hand on it for Fiji, and it's anyone's ball out there as it's being tapped around in any number of directions. The first defence was a knock on by Suva, and the scrum just outside the 22.
Knock on blue, eh? Second advantage.
So no addition to the half-time score.
Around
in a really scrappy
get in and steady.
Second half final here.
Come on.
Now Serevi with a chance to cook something up from inside his own half. Savo it is, however, that decides to kick and chase. Serevi's just staying behind, looking a little tired and jaded. And Savo, on his own, had no option really but to kick from there. And it was a sensible, intelligent kick, causing Suva to have to scamper the ball into touch from a few metres from their own line. Naruma, but this pass goes astray. So just over 2 minutes of this final remaining, still no change to that half-time score. The national side ahead by 12 points to 0. There's a Jeremiah into the line-out, tap back by Seva. Samioni and Nakuma looking rather dejected, and with himself gets a pat on the back from one of his Fijian mates there, number 2, the Fijian hooker, Jone Ragita. And all this rather looks like play in slow motion here between these two teams. There's Serevi again, this time working the left-hand side, and look at the strength of Seru. Philemoni Seru, one of the stars of the Hong Kong side Fijian team in recent years. And he took that pace, he took that ball at full pace and just bolted his way through a tackle. A switch of direction, good thinking there from Serevi. Saw there was only 2 Suva players out there on the left-hand side, and Philemoni Seru just ran straight at the opponents. They didn't like that, and he broke through easily for the try. That's made it safe for the Fijian side. They're ahead by 17 points to 0 as Serevi makes it 19-0. And with now less than a minute remaining in this final, the Fijian national side on the brink of claiming the title in this inaugural Air Pacific Daily Post International Sevens. The first time an International 7-a-side tournament has been held here in Fiji. and appropriately enough, it will be the champion Fijian side that claims the major prize. As Whanalangi restarts play. Well, we've seen some fairly ordinary kicks from the restart, and that would be one of the worst, as he hooks it back into his own half, and back to the centre of the halfway mark we come.
Non-white. Binding, carry on. Go on.
So into the scrum it goes, and away comes Serevi again. The match safely won here by Fiji, and Suva with a very quick turn of speed. Can't get away entirely from the cover defence, but good support play there from Epirama, and the Fijians turning it on in the last couple of minutes with 2 tries. There is the hooter for full time. 24-0. It's Fiji with the kick to come. The crowd set to invade the pitch. Upon the sound of the hooter, there are people wandering all around the paddock, and the Fijian players not in any hurry by the look of it to go through the conversion. It looked as if Suva may have got there on his own, but good thinking. He knew he had support there from Epirama looming up on the inside, stopped, made the back pass, and finished off by the big prop forward. Well, it's been a wonderful weekend of rugby here in Suva, and I guess the enduring memory that most visitors will take away with them was the staggering depth of sevens talent in this country. Of the 6 Fijian sides in the 16-man competition, as Serevi adds the final 2 points for a 26-0 victory. Of the 6 Fijian sides in the 16-man tournament, 6 of them made the quarterfinals, 4 of them made the semis. It was an all-Fijian final, and as expected, the best 7 side in the world, the Fijian national team, too strong for Suva, winning by 26-0 to conclude what has been the most historic and memorable weekend here in Fiji for Fijian rugby. So this magnificent trophy claimed by Waisali Serevi on behalf of his teammates in the Fijian national side, winning a tournament that would appear to have all the possibilities of becoming a major international event in years to come. Fantastic crowds here for the past 2 days. Must have been in excess of 50,000 people have watched the 2 days of rugby here. And the staggering depth of talent in 7-a-side rugby here will, I'm sure, prompt many of the big names in world rugby to think long and hard about the calibre of the team that they send to any subsequent sevens tournaments in Fiji, because really some of the big countries here, New Zealand, Scotland, Canada, have been, to say the least, rather embarrassed by the quality of talent of the local sides here in the 7-a-side tournament. So the crowd for the final time salute their champions, salute their heroes.
From Sunday, April 4th, Air Pacific takes off from Nandi with a direct, non-stop service to Christchurch. Now enjoy heavenly service every Sunday to Christchurch with Air Pacific.
Toyota Corona, available from Asker Motors. Branches at Suva, Singatoka, Nandi, Lautoka, Bar, Tavua and Glambasa.
Koto Cash, accumulate to do. Koto Cash, accumulate to do. Shop at Court, your favorite store, and you can win in any draw. Koto Cash, accumulate to do. Bigger prizes just for you. Every month.